Welcome, one and all, to the Friday, June 25th edition of the Signals from Mars live stream, brought to you by the Mars Attacks podcast and by VMRIT.com. Today, I am joined by Brittney Slayes of Unleash the Archers. Brittney, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I am doing great. Been kind of a rough week, but for a lot of people, music has an emotional connection. Obviously, your favorite bands have an emotional connection to you, and that's why, an album becomes your favorite album. What music do you turn to when times are tough, when you need kind of a kick in the ass to set things in another direction? Is there a song that you turn to? Is there an album you turn to? A band?
Well, it depends. Sometimes you're in kind of like a real I don't even know, like driving home from a crappy day at work and you got frustrations you need to let out. And on those days, I definitely put on Zimmer's Hole,
Okay.
which is a Canadian band that is
Yep.
absolutely amazing. And then sometimes like when I just need to like zen out, and like take my mind off of everything, I'll put on like any one of Tchaikovsky's ballets that he did. All of them are
Okay.
really good. And sometimes when I just kind of need to disconnect, I'll like throw on pop music, whatever the newest record is from
Right.
Lady Gaga or Dua Lipa or whatever. It's kind of all over the place a little bit.
Right.
But yeah.
So, in other words, when they were shouting at the devil, you were in league with Satan.
Yes. Sure
There
was.
you go.
Love
So,
that.
have you ever had fans come up to you and say, "This song of yours really helped me out with a hard time," or "I listened to this song when, I need to get in the mood. I need to get psyched up for something, so I listen to this song." Do you ever have those
Yeah.
types of things mentioned?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. We get a lot of emails because we haven't been able to see people in person for a little while here, but a lot of emails about Abyss helping people
Right.
through hard times. The record helping with, a death in the family or even a death of a pet, like a particularly
Right.
close and loved pet. We've had a lot of emails like that. And a lot of people tell us they like to work out to our records as well. So,
Cool.
when they're having a hard time pushing through that last set of reps or
Right.
pushing through to the end of their sprint or whatever it is that they're doing, our music really helps them out with that. So that's always awesome to hear. I mean, I know I have particular bands that I like to listen to when I work out, and
Right.
I know how it feels to have that band that it's just like, oh man, it's it's a dark tranquility kind of day or whatever, you know what I mean? And so
Right.
just to be able to be that band for somebody is
Mhm.
really cool. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out to Jeremy in the chat, to Jose up in Connecticut, and to Panda Socks, who was saying that they love Abyss so much that they have the blue vinyl. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it, Panda. That's
Yeah.
also my cat's name.
And you mentioned the sprint. We're hoping that whoever's out there sprinting doesn't end up the same way that they do in your video.
Yeah, right? Be careful. Always look over your shoulder. No, yeah,
Right.
that's pretty funny.
Absolutely. You guys just won a Juno Award, which is
We did.
huge. I mean, for anyone who isn't in the know, it's like winning a Brit in the UK. It's like winning a Grammy in America. First of all, what was it like for you guys just to hear that you guys were being nominated?
Oh, it was great. It was such an honor. It was really cool. It's it's very rare in the metal world that you get recognized for the work that you do or that you put in, right?
Right.
There's so many, amazing bands in the US that will never see a Grammy, even though they
Right.
deserve it so much, just because they just see right past you, right? That it's going to be
Mhm.
Metallica up there every year for the rest of time. So, it was really nice to not have that happen
Mhm.
for once,
Right.
The Junos have been working for about I think it's been about 8 or 9 years now to they've been working like have all genres. I know
Right.
it's really hard and kind of corny, but they really want every musician in Canada to feel like they matter. And
Mhm.
so metal has been a category for a little while. Originally, it was like metal and punk, and then they were kind of like, okay, no, we can't put those two together. Like they're so
Right.
different. They're learning, you know. So
Mhm.
it was such an honor to be included among so many fantastic musicians out there, and to be, have heavy metal in the spotlight, even just for a moment. Yeah.
Was there any interaction between you guys and any of the other bands that were nominated, talking up about all of you guys being nominated?
Not really. I mean, there were some retweets and that kind of thing here and there.
Right.
Um, the singer for Cataclysm is our manager, so we talked about it with him all the time. We were having like a fake little, uh, no, we're gonna get it. No, we're gonna get it. All that kind of stuff. But it wasn't until the actual day of the Junos when they put us in a Zoom chat with all the nominees,
Right.
waiting for the moment when you get
Mhm.
put on screen for the actual announcement. So it was really funny because they had us muted for a while there. So we were all like talking to each other through notepads, like, hi, congrats, like, so good to see you, that kind of thing. And then they finally unmuted us and we were able to actually talk to each other a little bit. But it was a pretty intense moment. So we were all very kind of nervous. And but other than that, yeah, not really too much chatter about it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you ever think that you guys would win? I mean, given, the other bands that were nominated?
Yeah, no. I definitely convinced myself that we weren't gonna win. So I was kind of like, "Oh, it's gonna be great. You're gonna have a really fun time, and Annihilator's gonna take it home or whatever," because it's just like
Right.
they're just so huge and they're legends. And like Protest the Hero had won a Juno already, but it's it's not they're not that kind of thing where they're like, "All right, well, let's just make sure that everyone gets one," so
Right.
you never know. And yeah, I just kind of had convinced myself that we weren't going to win it. So when we did, I was genuinely surprised. Yeah, it was really exciting.
So now before, or excuse me, after everything goes down, has any of the other bands reached out to you to say anything?
No, but mind you, we haven't reached out to them, so
Okay.
it goes both ways.
Touche.
Probably do that.
Right. Um, what does this mean for the band's career? Because you always hear about, being number one at the box office, or, winning, whatever award helps place you higher at a festival, or helps get you better, better tours and whatnot. Has there been anything directly that you guys have been offered as a result of winning the Juno?
Not really, not yet. I mean, it's still pretty new, but
Mhm.
I feel like it's Canada. So it's not exactly on the international stage or anything. Um, so it'll probably help with like getting grants maybe from the government and stuff like that, and
Gotcha.
it'll look good on the resume. But I
Right.
don't know if it'll really like impress anybody.
Well, I
But you
mean,
never
I
know.
think that's something you guys have to leverage. If you can get grants or anything else out of it, I mean,
Yeah,
why not?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it is as you're saying, it's only Canada, but how many bands think about it? We're talking about how the Grammys haven't gotten it right for so long, where it's either Metallica or it's a cover, it's Motorhead covering
Yes.
Metallica,
Oh,
or Judas Priest. I forget what live track it was. I'm like, seriously, song should have been nominated in the 70s, not in 2000 and whatever it was. A
yeah,
live
no.
rendition off of a throwaway live album. I mean, it just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. So it was cool that, not only for you guys to be nominated, but even the bands that were selected. Like you're saying, it's, obviously there's a learning process, because there aren't going to be people that are in their 20s, 30s, or 40s behind this. It's probably people that are 10 to 20 to 30 years older than that running some
Mhm.
of this stuff. So until they fine tune it and get it right, and it's never going to be right, it's just great
Yeah.
that that at least steps are being made, that more or less all the bands that were nominated were bands that were fitting of
Yeah.
being, being up for the
Absolutely. Yeah.
award. Yeah.
But that's why I think it's really important the way that the Junos have done it, in that it's an album and that it has to have been released in the the pertinent year.
Right.
So where the Grammys I think are struggling is that it's best metal performance. That's it. So it could
Mhm.
be absolutely anything. And I don't think that there are rules as to when it was released. I think it's about numbers for the most part. Oh, this did really well in 2020, so it's up for a Grammy for 2021. And I think that they aren't going to change that until someone wants to or cares, and I just don't think that they do right now. They've got to get someone in there that actually cares, not just about
Right.
album of the year, video of the year, and song of the year, or whatever the big
Yeah.
ones are. That and there's a reason why people don't watch anymore, because it's the same people
Right.
winning all the time, and I don't think that that's that it's not something that's just gonna we're gonna complain about it, and all of a sudden they're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's start listening to people. No, it's like you need to get new blood in there. So it's what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes complete sense. And like you, I mean, I read, Metal Juno, and I remember clicking on the video. I didn't see who had won or anything, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, out of these bands, who do I want to win, and who do I think will win? Obviously,
Yeah.
since I got to interview you years ago, like 2 albums ago, I was like, well, it would be cool if Unleash the Archers would win it, but it's got to be Annihilator. So it's like one
Yeah,
of these
right?
things where
Yeah.
I practically spit my water out when they mentioned you guys winning. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. For once, something that I wanted to happen
Mhm.
actually happened. So it was really
Yeah.
cool.
I know, right? I'll always remember the year that Ghost won the Grammy. Oh
Right.
man, that was the greatest. And they showed later, I think it was like Metal Hammer or someone showed the
Mhm.
actual like footage of them doing their speech and everything, because it wasn't on TV, of course. It was
Right.
filmed at like 1 p.m. that afternoon. And there was no one in the crowd. I felt so bad, but it was just kind of like, who cares? You guys just won a Grammy. Like, congratulations. And
Yeah.
it was really cool because they really deserved it for that track,
Right.
but it's just, yeah, like that was how long ago was that? Like 6 years now, I think. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
eh.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Someone going by the name of Flunky Balls
Flunky
in
balls.
yeah, in the chat is asking, are there any plans for a live album? Of course, when they're going to play live again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, but it's really weird. It's not up to us. It's up to Napalm.
Okay.
So, because they'll be the ones that are releasing it. And so basically when it when the stars align perfectly so that we're in a venue with a great recording system, and it's a headlining set, so there'll be a larger amount of songs that we can play, something that would fill a whole album, that kind of thing. It kind of has to be perfect uh, circumstances in order to do that. So
Right.
and then Napalm likes to make sure that they have a hand in the recording process and all that sort of stuff. So but that's not to say that we wouldn't maybe record our own headlining set and pitch it to them.
Right.
Maybe we'll do that on this upcoming US tour. Um, yeah, find a venue that has kind of like the best sound, pick through them, that kind of a thing, and see what we can do. We did get the sound from the live stream that we did in August.
Okay.
So maybe we'll look at that, but it was also kind of picky choosy on the tracks. So, we didn't play some stuff that people would probably want to hear the live version of, and so on and so
Right.
forth. So, but yes, I mean, there's always plans in the works for everything.
Yeah.
You want to do it all. So yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it wouldn't be a case of just you guys. Well, you mentioned you can suggest it, but unless the label comes to you guys and says, "Hey, we want a live album from you," it generally doesn't happen.
I mean, if the label suggests that you do something, usually you kind of
Yeah.
got to do it.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, like it's it goes both ways with Napalm. So, I think probably what it would be on our end is to just do it ourselves and then say, hey, you guys want this, and
Right.
then see how that goes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Abyss obviously was released mid-pandemic in last August, so it's almost been a year. How calculated or how difficult of a decision was it? Because already these songs were written back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, when you guys wrote Apex. So I mean, already there was a long gap between when the songs were written to when they were recorded. What was it difficult to say, hey, we need to release this now? Or was there ever a thought, you know what, until we can really promote this the way that we want to promote this, we need to hang on to it?
Well, it wasn't the actual songs that were written in 2017. It was the
Okay.
story behind the two of
Gotcha.
them. So
Okay.
the Apex and Abyss are like one story
Right,
continuing
right,
through
right.
2 records. So we had like the whole backstory and everything written, and we had a few riffs for Abyss that we had kind of put aside. Originally, we were gonna try and do them together at the same time, like a 2-disc record, but then it was just
Mhm.
like we just don't have time. We didn't want to rush anything, so we didn't have the time to put that much into it. So
Mhm.
we took those few riffs that we had for Abyss, put them aside, put that part of the story aside, and then wrote everything in 2019, just before heading into the studio for that record. So, the songs themselves, we were like, yeah, totally itching to get them out though. I mean, you always are whenever you have new stuff in your
Right.
hands. It's just you're just so excited to share it with everybody, and you never know what everyone's gonna say, but it's just kind of like, oh, like we love this. We hope you love it too, kind of a feeling.
Right.
But yeah, when the pandemic hit, we had already kind of organized a late June release.
Mhm.
And so Napalm was like, okay, well, that's not happening because there's literally no printers open right now to print the actual physical merchandise. And we would
Right.
have had to like get on it right away in order to have it done in time. So we're like, okay, we'll push it back to July. And then when everyone got out of quarantine 4 weeks later, and it was like, okay, this isn't going away after 4 weeks of hiding in our apartments. We push it back again to the end of August. And then, things were continuing to look really bad. And so Napalm was like, you know what? A lot of our bands are pushing to 2021. Let's just push to 2021. And that's when I was like, no. I really think we should put this record out because personally, I was all over Spotify looking for new music,
Mhm.
something, to pass the time, something to look forward to. Who's releasing
Right.
new records, and just constantly looking for something to lift me up at the end of the day because it was just so crappy. You
Right.
know, you remember,
Yeah, yeah.
couldn't talk, couldn't go out, couldn't see anybody, couldn't do anything. It was just Scott and I went for a walk when they said that you were allowed to go for walks again outside, and we walked the streets and it was creepy. It was just
Right.
straight up creepy. There was no one around, and it was really cool. But it was also kind of like we all just felt so disconnected at that time. So I said, "You know what, you guys? I think this is going to be fine. Like we won't
Mhm.
be able to tour it right away.
Right.
Um, we knew by the time releasing it that we weren't going to be able to tour it in the fall, which had been the original hope before COVID and everything happened. So it was
Mhm.
like, okay, well, we might not be able to tour it right away. We'll tour it in like spring of 2020, hopefully. And but that'll give people time to get to know the record, and
Right.
it'll be something for people to have during all
Mhm.
this crap. And so Napalm was like, okay, fine, because they had pushed back quite a few records by that time, Camelot, and um, I think there was another big one, Powerwolf, maybe, where it was getting pushed back. Lots of big guys. So I think they
Right.
were fine, they were kind of like, okay, sure, whatever. And it went really well, like best pre-sales we've ever had, and best merch sales we've ever had, and everyone said the exact same thing that I was thinking. It was like, thank you for having new music for us, something to look forward to during this
Right.
crap, because there's nothing else. Because you can't book anything, can't book vacations, can't book this, that, the other, can't do your family stuff, nothing. Thank you for giving us something to look forward to. So,
Mhm.
I was really glad that we decided that I kind of put my foot down. I was just like, no, not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I also have to think too, and this is something that a few other bands have told me, is that by having music ready to go, they also wanted to release it because if they had to sit on it,
Oh,
it would kill them because they would end up
Yep.
they would end up hating the material because maybe they would be writing new material already by the time that album comes out, and they'd want to get that new material out as well. And there may be issues with the label with, well, you can't put another album out because you just released this other one 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Type
Can't
of a deal.
support a new one and before having supported the other one. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't the fear for us. We loved the new album. We sat down with it in Jacob's studio after finishing recording it and listened to it from beginning to end. Still, lots of things to be done, mixing and mastering and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't at its final form, but getting to listen to everything that we had just worked so hard on for the last 6 months, finally hearing it beginning to end in full. And we all just kind of looked at each other afterwards and we were like, you guys, this is like cool. Like we really loved this record. And we just wanted everyone to hear it so bad because we wanted to know if they would like it as much as we did,
Right.
Very, very rarely after an album is done, are you like, it's perfect. And I didn't think it was perfect, but right. You're always like, I should have done this or should have done that or would have changed this or should have, you know what I mean? And you kind of like nitpicking it and and you do kind of like hate it after a while. So, but this one, it wasn't like that. And still we're jamming these songs and they're just like so much fun. And we're just kind of like, man, like we really kind of like it didn't even matter if the fans didn't like it. We were like, we love playing these songs. They're just so much fun. And so they've got such a groove to them that are really, really good time to play. So we were just kind of like, oh man, I hope everybody likes it because we're fucking playing these live, like it's happening. This is just too much fun. So, and luckily, a lot of people did like it as well. And there were some people out there that were like, get rid of the synthesizer. And we were like,
right. Yeah. God forbid you want to try something different, but
I know, right? Oh, goodness.
As far as during the downtime with the pandemic, you mentioned the live show you guys did, that you guys streamed. You guys have done covers in the past. Was there any thought to maybe record any covers or recorded maybe additional material for when the pandemic was done so that you guys would have a head start on a follow-up to Abyss? Or did you guys not even contemplate?
We talked about it, but it was just so busy. The whole release was intense. I have never done that many interviews in my whole life, like ever. And it was right at like all through from the moment we announced through to, months after the record came out. And so I literally just didn't have time. And then I have a day job. So that got intense as well once the COVID situation started to let up. So we just haven't really had time. Yeah, unfortunately. I know it would have been great if we hadn't had a record to put out and we're like needing the time to work on it, because we had just taken 2019 off from shows to focus on writing the record. So like all these people that lined up perfectly that they got 2020 off to write the record, their record or whatever, are really lucky. But it was just kind of a little intense with Abyss going on in there to be able to start looking at something else. But we're starting to do that now, so probably not too long. Yeah.
Okay. A few comments and questions here in the chat. We have, let's see, how was working with Timo Tolkki? Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Stradivarius. Do you have more guest appearances, I guess, planned in the future?
Yes. Timo, it was great. I didn't work directly with Timo, though. He has a team that does everything for him. So I never actually even spoke to him or anything like that. It was his producer that thought of me as a vocalist and reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to be on this song, or a couple songs on this record? So, but that was really cool. I was like, heck yeah, sure. I'd love to work with, be on a Timo Tolkki record. So that was a no-brainer for me. And then, I've like this, it's really funny is because as soon as Abyss came out, then it was like all these guest vocal kind of promises that I'd made to people started to come to fruition. And, it's always when it rains, it pours. So many people just like hey, Brittney, remember when you said you'd sing on my record? Like, I need you to do that now. So it's just like this whole year is filled with me doing guest vocals for other people. I released the song with Pure Maze already, and Sold Soul, I think that was maybe end of last year, or I can't remember if it was, on the cusp. And then the Timo Tolkki, and then I've got another one upcoming that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, and then another one that's going to be coming out like in a few weeks, so pretty close. And then the Planeswalker EP is just in the mixing mastering phase right now, so that's coming soon. And I got another one that I'm working on, which is in the very, very early stages. So I know it's just like it's been nonstop. So yes, lots more guest work coming.
Yeah, you also did. I just had to look up the name. I get their newsletters all the time. Lords of Trident as well. Didn't you do something with them? Yeah.
I think that was last year.
Yeah, it could be.
Or was it early this year?
Or right at the beginning of the pandemic, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Burn it down. Fine.
Let's see. Where did you guys get the idea for Apex/Abyss?
Well, it's kind of inspired by lots of things. I'm a big comic book reader, and I love movies and video games, so a little bit from everywhere. But I knew I wanted to do a concept record where the music was written based on the story. So, but being that I'm not a guitar player, what I did was I wrote out the story in chapters and said, okay, so this is track 1. This is what's happening in the story. This is how I want the listener to feel when they listen to this song. This is, kind of the inspiration behind it. I was like thinking like, and I'd give a band or a track or, anything as kind of like, let's do this vibe. And then I'd be like, and I want it to be super fast and heavy, but like with a sense of foreboding, so I'd do that for every song. And really it started with the 2 main characters. I knew I wanted a female antagonist because there's nothing scarier than a woman lusting after power. And I knew I wanted a male protagonist, but in a sort of tragic hero type format. So I started with that. And I was kind of like, okay, so if our male protagonist is super powerful, why is this, sorceress able to control him? Like where's the conflict going to be there? So then that was where I came up with the whole fact that the immortal had been enslaved his entire life, and he was constantly being awakened by these masters and then had to do what they told him. And then so I was like, okay, so she's like a power hungry maniac. So what is it that she wants him to do for her? And then I was like, ooh, a ritual. Oh, kill all of her sons. Oh, okay, each song can be about a son. So it's just kind of like, figuring out how to write a story that a record could be built around, basically. And then a lot of it just kind of spawned from there. And the matriarch was like based on, of course, Bavmorda from Willow, but also like that 80s power suit wearing kind of, the films, like a lot of older 80s films where these women sort of were, just scary kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. There was like that whole kind of era of 80s movies where, you get these powerhouse business women that are just going to take over the world, back when that was something that people thought would actually happen. And then the immortal was based very much on this character looks wise. This character from a comic book called East of West. Okay. He's very, kind of silent but strong type, Yeah.
Okay.
Cruella.
Yeah.
Could be Cruella too. A little bit of that in there. Yes, but yeah, that she was part of that 80s stereotype of these women in power and business that just kind of get lost. Yeah, for sure. That's a great example.
Yeah. I get where you were going with your analogy. So would you ever,
of course I can't think of any of the movies, but
sure. Would you ever take on, do another concept album in the same way as you did with this? Obviously it was successful. And from what we're
Yeah.
seeing in the
Yeah.
chat, a lot of people have loved it. So,
Yes, definitely. I don't think I want to write any other way ever again.
okay.
Um, it was just so cohesive and great. And the boys would send like a riff my way and be like, I was thinking of this for track 6. And I'd be like, oh, yes, that's perfect. Like, that's exactly the feeling. Or I'd be like, not quite. But you know what this could be is like track 8 or, that kind of thing. Or sometimes they'd send like a big chunk, like the first however many parts of a song, and I'd be like, oh, it's perfect right up to here. This really doesn't sit right, like let's just take that out and see where it goes from there. So it was a lot of fun having that guideline that we all could work by, basically, and
Right.
just kind of constantly having the pieces of the puzzle to put in place, and it just made it so much easier to write with. Yeah.
Which song was the hardest for them to kind of mold the music into what you were looking for?
hmm um I don't know, they were all pretty good. Probably Return to Me, I think, from
Okay.
Abyss. It's probably the hardest one to get the right riff for. And I still think we maybe compromised a little bit on it. I think if we
Okay.
had a little bit, if we didn't have studio time booked that we needed to be ready for, we probably could have found the perfect riff. But
Mhm.
yeah, everything else, it really kind of just fell into place. Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything that you felt as you were putting together, this will be so difficult for them to get what I want, but yet they surprised you and kind of, got to what you were looking for quicker than you expected?
Well, in The Wind That Shapes the Land, which is like the really long epic songs, like 10 minutes long.
Mhm.
I was basically like, okay, I just want this to be like a typical Iron Maiden epic, how they do Rime of the Ancient Mariner or
Right.
Long Distance Runner, or all those ones where they just kind of go on forever, but it is always in tune with what the song is about.
Right. Mhm.
Um, that was kind of what I gave as an example, and Andrew absolutely just knocked it out of the park when he sent it back to me. I told him what was going on with the story, and he just ran with the emotions so perfectly. He's like, I thought this would be the part where like the battle is happening, and then this is the part where he kind of, gathers himself, and then this is like the I won, and it was just like so perfect. Um, and it was very different from what I thought it was going to be. When I first heard
Right.
it, I was like, oh, I don't know, but I like it. But does it work? Yeah, I guess it does. And
Mhm.
so, but it was like, yeah, and then in the end, it's my favorite song. Like,
Wow,
it's so
cool.
funny because it was kind of like, at first I was really skeptical, just kind of like, I don't know, like, yeah, you got the whole roller coaster of emotions thing right, but this riff is like weird and like it doesn't fit and blah blah. Blah.
Mhm.
But yeah, and at the end of the day, I love playing that song. It
Mhm.
feels so good, like all the different parts, and I get to use so much of my voice on that song. So it's really good. Ended up doing exactly what I needed it to do.
Okay, cool. You've obviously been really busy with Twitch. You do your weekly show on Twitch. It's on Tuesdays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay. Obviously that's something you've ramped up during the pandemic. Do you see that as one of the silver linings per se from the pandemic, to be able to connect with people through Twitch and be able to share, things outside of music and also promote the band at the same time?
Absolutely. It is the best thing ever during the whole thing. It was the best, like, discovery. Not just being on it, but
Mhm.
also, like, chilling and, like, being in other people's streams and chatting with everyone, and
Yeah.
the community that is there, like, in the music side of Twitch. It's a very small part,
Mhm.
but so it's still very small. Everyone kinda knows everyone,
Right.
and everyone supports everyone, and it's because it's so small, we're all kinda coming up together,
Cool.
and, and so, yeah, it's just great people and really supportive. And we came up with a Discord out of that, a Discord
Right.
server. So
Hmm.
that's been an awesome place filled with awesome people. And yeah, it literally got me through those lockdown days at the very beginning
Hmm.
when we were watching all of our hard work just go down the drain. All of the festivals that we had booked canceled, the world tour that we had booked canceled, everything just getting destroyed. And I just spent like every night on Twitch, like hanging out with people, um, trying to remember, that there's other things out there in life. So
Right.
it was great. Yeah, definitely. So happy that we discovered it, and so happy that, Grant and Andrew, that's all they do now. They quit their day jobs and they're only on Twitch.
Oh, wow.
And, so now they get to do music forever. And it's so exciting. And so hopefully one day I'll be able to get to do that as well. But I'm just so excited to continue with it and get to hang out with everybody on a regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Do you guys think you'll be able to keep doing Twitch once everything kind of gets back to normal, or is that something that will be a little bit more sporadic?
I mean, it might be difficult on tour, but we're going to try. We're going to see what we can
Mhm.
do. Maybe kind of like pre-show hangouts or post-show hangouts or something like that.
Right.
Maybe stream some of them. The venues don't exactly have the greatest Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So it's not like something that we can be like, every show is going to be live streamed. It's really going to depend on what we're doing.
Hmm.
But we do hope to continue it. And then, yeah, once we get back into the, okay, no shows, we're just writing new stuff part, yeah, we'll keep, Twitch streaming and maybe even stream the writing process. Or
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's become an important part of social media for a band. And if a band isn't on Twitch, what are you doing? Yeah,
Right.
because Facebook is dead. It is absolutely dead. That place is a graveyard, and it's so difficult to use.
Hmm.
And I can't get through to my fans, through to our fans like I could before. I'm pelted with advertisements and spam in the inbox, and we don't see when people post on our page anymore. It doesn't show us
Right.
that anywhere. It doesn't show us when we get mentioned. I
Hmm.
have to literally search out the posts. Like if someone says, "Hey, we shared the interview on Facebook," or whatever, it doesn't show me that. I can click on a notification and it'll be like, this person mentioned you, but then I'll click on it and it'll be like, oh, sorry, I can't show you this, whatever. And so I have to like, oh, it's just, I just can't stand that place.
Hmm.
So I think Twitch is like the future for musicians for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me as a podcaster, that's frustrating as hell, because you think, oh wow, I've done this great interview with this band. Fingers crossed they're gonna, retweet or say, hey, check this out. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
wait, nothing, cricket. And then
I know.
I won't bring up any names because they're label mates of yours, but there's somebody that I interviewed not too long ago. And I thought the interview was fantastic. And I see that this person keeps promoting stuff from all these other interviews that they've done. And I'm like, wait a second, was I chopped
Where's
liver?
mine?
Was mine not up to
Yeah.
snuff? Do you realize how big of a deal this is for me to get mentioned? Because, ultimately I want to help promote bands that I love, but at the same time, I also want to get, if anyone who's in the chat has never checked out what I do before, and it just so happens to turn them onto my show, then that's,
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do.
For sure.
Another one of your label mates, Sumo Psycho, I interviewed them a few months ago. They're actually Canadian as well. And we talked
Oh,
about
really?
how, yeah, they're from Hamilton, Ontario.
Oh, interesting.
So on the other side of the country. But we talked all about how important it was for them to connect on, to do live streams, they're uploading stuff on TikTok all the time, and they're doing, they're trying to leverage all the different social media stuff at the same time. And we talked about how a lot of bands, how I've seen bands say, hey, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'd be doing this, but I'm not doing this now. And I got to, it's like, well, you have to do something like you're saying. You guys found Twitch. You have to do something to keep your band's name out there. Because if you don't do it, nobody else will, and it's just as simple as, you guys have found this out. And it works great for you guys, but for other bands, it's again using TikTok. It's saying, "Hey, remember this back in so and so," and you upload a picture to Twitter. Something to just continuously remind people, "Hey, we're here." So, like you're saying, I kind of feel sorry for people that have sat back and just coasted this entire time, just waiting for for them to kind of start up in the race when you guys are already, on the other side of the track, practically.
I mean, I understand that. Some people are kind of like, oh, well, I don't have anything going on. Why would I be doing social media? I don't have a new record to push or, whatever, that kind of a thing. And I get that, but it's just, this is not that time anymore where a band would disappear and then a new record would come out and they'd be everywhere and then they'd disappear again.
Right.
You got to stay relevant and you got to stay in front of people. Otherwise, when your record comes out next time, they're kind of going to be like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I'll get to that,
right.
As opposed to being on the forefront all the time. And it's like a constant countdown kind of a thing. So like, talk to these guys all the time. Can't wait till they come out with something new, as opposed to being surprised by it because you didn't even know this band was still around, that kind of thing. So, but if you tag us on Facebook, I will find it eventually, or Twitter or whatever. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but I will. Right. I always do share all of our interviews on there. I think it's important for you guys as much as it is for us. You guys are growing and trying to get a fan base and trying to have people, go to you to get their content or whatever, and you're, you're trying to put yourself out there just as much as we are. So we got to help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Yeah. As far as,
I love that. Sorry. New wave of Canadian heavy metal. Nice.
Well, it was funny. I wrote about Light the Torch came out with a new album today. Howard Jones, formerly of Killswitch, and I brought up the way back at the turn of the century. Sounds like it was a million years ago now. The new wave of American heavy metal. So why not new wave of Canadian heavy metal? There's definitely a lot of cool bands, and it's funny that Napalm has really been at the forefront throughout the pandemic of continuously releasing stuff from all over the world, to be honest. But there's a lot of cool stuff that is going on up there.
Hailstorm is not Canadian, are they?
No. Hailstorm
they're from LA.
They're from Pennsylvania originally, but they're based out of Nashville now. Yeah.
Yes, you do. And it's Striker with an I, Flunky. Striker with an I.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
I'm getting distracted.
Striker with a Y is an 80s band, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Striper with a Y.
Yeah, but there was also a Striker, and there was a Strike In with a Y as well. Yeah, that was way back when.
That's great.
Someone in the chat asked before, and I apologize, I didn't catch the name, asked if there was any ETA on naming a new bass player.
No, we're not going to have a permanent bass player anymore. It's just been too difficult to find someone. Yeah. We've had 4 bass players leave the band, and we have found someone who is a touring musician who works really well with us and is just an amazing and rad person and fits really well with us, but he's in a million other bands, and what he does for a living is, he's a touring musician. So we'd never be like, hey, you're in Unleash the Archers now, it's just not, that's not cool. So we'll just keep using him for tours and studio and session musicians for the records. And yeah, we're good.
Cool. So that's your Spinal Tap. Instead of the drummer, it's the bass player.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I know every band's got one that they just can't
Right.
help, but it's weird. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah. We were talking about, or actually you dropped it before that, you guys have announced US dates. How huge is that for you guys to finally get out there and to play songs off of Abyss? And not only that, but actually connect in person with your fan
Oh
base.
man, we are so excited. It is not even funny. We've been trying to announce these dates for like over a year now, and we just kept having to push them back and reschedule them. And so we're really hoping that these can actually go forward, and it's looking pretty good. Like it will. It's looking like we'll have our second vaccination by the end of July, so we'll be able to cross the border no problem, regardless of what may be going on there. And yeah, it means a lot. We can't wait to get up on stage. So it's gonna be a pretty cool moment, I think. A lot of people, oh, sorry, my cat just joined us.
Yeah, no problem.
A lot of people are a lot of people are gonna have us as their first show back. So it's gonna be like this moment when it's our first show where it's just going to be like, I can't, this is so fantastic. But then what's great is that we get to relive that like every night with all of our American fans who are at their first show, for however long, 15 months, 18 months, whatever. So it's just going to be a party. It's going to be an absolute party. And I think it's going to be, I don't know, really, really good time if it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned before that also you guys had to put a world tour on hold. How does that work now? Because I mean, I've heard a lot of things where bands will have to make up tours that they had previously scheduled, or festival dates that have been previously scheduled. We saw, for example, Hellfest just announce massive,
a huge lineup.
But obviously it makes sense. They had to cancel 2 years worth of festivals. So they're squeezing 2 years worth of festivals into 2 weekends.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. The festivals have been difficult to reschedule, unfortunately. So there are 3 going ahead this summer, but now I don't know what's going on. That we were supposed to play Bloodstock on the Sunday night, and but now apparently the UK is being red listed in the European Union. So if we go to the UK and play Bloodstock, we might not be able to return to the European Union to play the other 2 festivals. So now it's just kind of like, no. Stop doing this. Watching everything get canceled like for the 3rd time. Yeah. So I'm not too sure if that's going to happen or what is going to happen over there. But so far we've only been able to reschedule the US dates and the Europe dates. We tried. We had Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and China rebooked, but that just went into the dumpster because Australia closed their borders until 2022. So and Australia was the big chunk. So we were going to do like 10 shows in Oz and 2 in New Zealand, and then kind of like 2 here, 2 here, 3 here, that kind of a thing. Yeah. So without that chunk, we couldn't financially make the rest of it work. So that's gone. South America, we haven't even heard from the agent that we have down there. I think he's just like, don't come here. So it's like, I don't know when that's going to happen. Yeah, same thing. We were working with someone on dates in India, and that's not happening. And Russia as well. We were working with someone to have dates in Russia, and that has been kind of just like a no-go zone as well. So I don't know what's going to happen. The future is very murky, but as of right now, we've got the US and Europe, and there's really, really good chance that both of those will go forward.
Yeah, Jeremy's just mentioning that he'll be there on Sunday.
I hope we will too, Jeremy.
Yeah, I know that it was the opposite. I'm actually in Spain, but I know that it was the opposite, where if we went to the UK, we'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks when getting there. And I know it's been flip-flopping back and forth with once you go there, you got to quarantine. Once you leave, you got to quarantine again. So I mean, I get it that that's still a headache. And South America is the spot that's being hit the most right now. So that's just terrible. I hope the whole world can finally get beyond all of this, and we can kind of get back to a semblance of what it was. So
yeah, hope so. It's really funny because I don't know, like, people's point of view on it or whatever. You know, it's to each their own, and I get it, and that's totally cool. But whenever people say to me that they're not getting vaccinated, that just tells me that they don't care about the people that require it in order to work. Like, we can't be anti-vaxxers. We can't. We need it in order to travel. So it's like, we're getting it. And then people are giving us flack for getting it. And it's kind of like, well, what do you just told me that you wanted to see us live, and then you're giving us a hard time for, you know, getting our vaccinations. It's like, come on. And I had someone else that was like, yeah, I don't believe in any of that shit. You know, it's really too bad. I got so many friends who are having such a hard time right now. And it's like, yeah, that are musicians or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, and you don't understand why maybe that might be.
right.
Like, Jesus, man. You get like, it's so funny, like, how intertwined the two things are. And yet I'm like, I guess you just don't care about ever seeing live music again. Because if you did, you would do what needed to be to get done in order to have that happen again. But or anything, theater, ballet, opera, so much, freaking cruise ships. Like, there's so much that cannot happen if we don't get our shit together. And I'm movie theaters just opened for us like last week. So like, did no one else miss going to the movies? Because I know I sure did. I love going to the movies. And is there nothing that you care about in the world? You know? Like, come on, let's get back to normal already.
Absolutely.
But,
and
I don't know.
We've got Dr. Poison checking in the chat. Brad Dahl, who is literally a doctor. He runs the boards or runs boards every day for the Utah Department of Poison. And he's telling people the sooner people get vaccinated, the sooner we can be done with COVID. So if Brad says it, I believe it. So that's coming from a doctor. And for anyone that isn't aware, check out his site, yargmetal.com, which I'm sure after this interview we'll be playing plenty of Unleash the Archers if they aren't already. So I agree with you. I'm getting number 2 at the beginning of actually in like 2 weeks. So I agree. I mean, I just I want to get back to normal, as you know, as I was saying, and I want all you guys to, you know, be able to get out and play dates, you know, even if things are slightly different, because I'm sure they will be, but at least
something. Yeah.
Something. Yeah. I agree. 100%. Were you guys mentioned, or are you guys booked for Hellfest?
No, not next year. Nope. That would be a killer time though. But no, we're just holding off on festivals next year for now, because we do want to start focusing on the next record. So unfortunately, kind of maybe missed our chance there, but we'll see. Yeah,
but I'm sure that a lot of this is probably a hangover from, you know, previous bookings, because I'm assuming, I mean, I don't know that end of the business, but I'm assuming that, you know, there's some sort of I don't know if liability is the correct word or whatnot, but there's something probably in the contract saying that you have to be present the next time that, you know, since the dates were canceled, that you guys need to be there when they are, you know, rescheduled, or at least, you know, in this.
It's like, please try kind of a thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
But I mean, there's so many dates to choose from at Hellfest. Like, if they couldn't reschedule all the people that were supposed to be on the 2020 and the 21 dates, I don't even know what's going on with those bands, because like, if you couldn't make any single one of those dates work, then there must be something going on. But yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. You guys are going to be working on an album. You guys are like one of 5 bands that won't be present at the festival.
I know. Maybe we'll just go and hang out. Vacation.
You guys recently announced the collaboration with Brutal North America for some beers.
Yep.
Along with I tried to read up on this with 22. Is it 22 other bands, or is it how
Yeah.
does okay? So how did you guys get involved in that?
Well, Matt McGachy, who is the singer of Cryptopsy and also the creator of the Vox and Hops podcast,
Okay.
this is his baby, and so what it is it's called Brutal North America, and he has an affinity for beers, and so he paired a bunch of breweries that he considers to be metal breweries. um,
Okay.
Either created by metalheads or they embrace the whole metal culture or whatever,
Sure.
that kind of thing, and then you pair them up with metal bands. And so at the end of the day, I think there was 23 of us that did it. And so what we did was we worked with Cannery Brewing in Penticton and came up with a beer that they could brew with with what they have going on there, and then we came up with a name, and Vox and Hops then did up the label for it. And so basically it's kind of like all these bands and all these breweries hanging out and supporting one another and supporting heavy metal and the
Cool.
whole heavy metal culture in North America. Yeah, so it was really
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome.
Definitely been an awesome time to be a part of. Yeah.
Are they going to be available all over North America then, or is it going to be regionally? For example, for your
Yeah,
beer.
each band is regional. So
Okay.
we're with a BC brewery, so all of our beer is available in BC and a couple in Alberta, but Vox and Hops is all over the place. Sorry.
Okay.
So if there's a band from, like Portland, that's a part of it, you'll be able to get their beer in Portland, basically, is what it's all
Gotcha.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing
Cool.
in Spain. I'm sorry.
We where I'm located, I can't even get Iron Maiden's beer. So I mean,
Oh no. Oh,
yeah.
that's too bad.
Yeah. I when it first came out, I have and I saved it as a result. When Trooper first came out, I tried that, and I tried the two AC/DC beers, and I've never seen anything else after that. I'm sure in the big cities they probably have it,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Have to take a trek.
yeah. And let's see. So you already mentioned that you guys will be writing or recording next year. But what about this year, the North American tour or the US tour? What else can you tell us that you guys have going on for the balance of 2021?
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed, those festivals will go ahead in August, and then September we'll be on the road all through the US, and then November, December will be the European dates if they are able to go forward. And it's looking pretty good for most of them. There might be some that we have to drop and say, like, okay, we can't come into your country without having to quarantine for 10 days upon arrival,
Right.
kind of a thing. But it's looking like that might not be the case if we're fully vaccinated for most places. So it's looking pretty good for most of the dates in November and December. And then, yeah, after that, we will start writing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Where should people go to keep up with you guys?
Definitely the Discord. I think it's like discord.gg/unleash the archers is the link. And then Twitch for sure. We're on Unleash the Archers has a channel, and Andrew has a channel, and Grant has a channel, and I have a channel on there. So you can search us out on Twitch. Instagram is a good place. We tend to post most important updates on there. And what we'll do is probably be more active on Instagram while we're on the road. And then Twitter, like I said, takes me a while to get to Twitter sometimes, but we always do reply if you tweet at us. And then we are on Facebook, but not super active on there anymore.
Yeah.
On the page, unfortunately. But all of our tour dates are listed on our website, and that we always and if you want, follow us on Bands in Town, and follow all the bands you love on Bands in Town,
Right.
and subscribe to them and click yes to notifications, because then whenever they book a show, you will get an email that says like this band is coming to your town, or this band is coming within a certain mileage that you choose. So Bands in Town is like the raddest app, and you'll never miss a show if you follow us or all of your favorites on there. So I definitely recommend downloading that app as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, someone in the chat is saying that they found your Discord just by Googling it. So
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
cool. So if
Yeah,
anyone
we're on
wants,
there all the time.
awesome. Brittney, I want to thank you for your time tonight. It's been great to talk to you all these years
You
later.
as well. Yes.
And I wish you guys nothing but success for the rest of the year, and hopefully we can catch up again at some point in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Awesome. So that was my interview with Brittney Slayes. I want to thank you guys for everyone that jumped in the chat. Was a ton of fun having all you guys here tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and maybe you guys will come back at a future date. I do this show every Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. in the UK. And I want to send a shout out to all my patrons that were in the chat tonight. Jose in Connecticut, Jeremy in the UK, Dr. Brad out there in Utah. And I saw the metal dentist, Gabriel Ruiz there checking in at one point as well. So thanks you guys for checking the episode out. The audio form will be available next week on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. And that is that. Thanks again, guys, for joining in. I definitely appreciate you guys spending your Friday with me, regardless where you are in the world. Please, if you guys enjoyed this, when the audio comes out, when the video goes up on YouTube next week, please tag the band. Let them know you guys enjoyed this, so Brittney knows she didn't waste her time. So that is that, guys. Thanks again, and we will see you next time right here on the Signals from Mars live stream. Go to MarsAttacksRadio.com to keep up with the live stream and the podcast. And that is it. See you guys next time right here on Signals from Mars. See ya.